Hockey Town, it's a place where dreams are found. We fought so many battles here. Now we're the ones that they will fear. The cup resides within our town. We won't stop no letting down. The cup is ours for all to drink. It's our time, let's rock this ring.
Yo, what is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Hockey Town Rundown. You are here with us, your hosts, beautiful hosts, once again, Carlo and Zach. Carlo, happy Sunday. I know you and I are both happy because the Red Wings ended up shutting out the Nashville Predators, as it shows down below. How you doing this weekend, though, buddy? You enjoying the weekend so far?
Yeah, doing good. It's been a good weekend. I still don't really know what day it is, considering just how busy things have been the past little while. But nonetheless, it's been really good. Hockey's back, so I'm just elated about that. Fantasy hockey's was here. Fantasy football's in full swing. Had some nice games to watch with baseball. It's just been I love this time of year. It's the best time of year for sports, especially if you're a sports fan. So I have been having myself a good little run. Call it a weekend. I don't know what day it is. So I've just had I'm calling it a good run is what I'm calling it. How about you, buddy?
It's going well. The days are a blur. I understand that, buddy. Well, congratulations once again on being a proud new dad. For those that didn't know, Carlo did just recently have his first child. So congratulations to you and your wife once again. If you guys missed out last weekend's episode, we did put that out there. So once again, congratulations to you and your wife. Yeah, my weekend's great. Just spent it doing the normal routine. Got to watch the Tigers, unfortunately, lose and their Game 5 series against the Cleveland, I wanted to call them the Indians, but the Guardians. Unfortunate, and I honestly thought that was going to carry into the Red Wings game, but that obviously was not the case. Like we already mentioned, they shut out the Nashville Predators. But all around, like you said, Carlo, yeah, this is a really great time of year, October. I can't remember the last time that we had football, baseball, and hockey all playing at once in the same month, right? So It's been fantastic if you're a Detroit sports fan or just a sports fan in general, right? There's a lot of action going on. Super sweet, super sick. And with that, let's go ahead and jump into it. And before we actually do that, Carlo, I want to take a second and say thanks for stopping by, everyone. If you are returning, if you are new, thank you for joining us on this brand new episode of Hockey Town Rundown. Why don't you go ahead and take a moment and hit that subscribe button. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can hit the thumbs up. Let's get that to 30 likes. You guys are doing a really good job getting that over to 25, but let's get it over that 30 mark. I know you guys can do it. I believe in you. It is free to do those things. But if you are listening to us on Apple or Spotify, why don't you go ahead and hit that follow button, rate us 5 stars. That also is free. And Carlo, without further ado, let's go ahead and reintroduce our latest giveaway.
Hank lives.
We did not give it away the last time. This is still up for grabs. It is now an official Twitter giveaway. This Henrik Zetterberg bobblehead giveaway. It is sealed in mint condition. I'll just go ahead and spin her all around,
Ooh, that was a good twirl. That was a nice twirl.
Thanks, man. And it was Z's birthday earlier this week, so happy belated birthday to our former captain, Henrik.
Props to Z. Happy birthday, man.
Yeah, congratulations to him. And with that giveaway, we also have a couple cards here that we will be giving away. One is Marco Kasper. The other one, it's Moritz Seider, Jonathan Berggren, and our captain right now, Dylan Larkin. So to enter those, go ahead and follow us on Twitter. You have to repost it. I think you have to like it as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Pretty simple. Go ahead and follow us on Twitter. It is on this side posted right up there at Hockeytown Rundown on Facebook, Twitter. We're also on Instagram and Threads as well if you guys want to follow us on there. Carlo, let's go ahead and jump into it. We're going to go ahead and recap these first 2 games, Game 1 and Game 2 of the Detroit Red Wings season. We will then go into Red Wings news. We actually got plenty of Red Wings news in here, just catching up from the previous week, and then some around the league news to close it out. So, Carlo, let's go ahead and jump right into it with Game 1 against the Pittsburgh Penguins with Ville Husso starting in net. And this was a huge talking point in this game, Carlo. Only Ben Sherratt was wearing an A.
Yep.
I kind of find that weird considering majority of times we see teams doing 2, maybe sometimes 3 if their captain is out. But I found it very odd that the Red Wings only had Dylan Larkin obviously wearing the C and then Ben Sherratt wearing the A. Typically in the past, we've seen players like Rasmussen, we've seen Kopp, we've seen Kane. I think we've seen Comfer, maybe Sider too, but not as frequent as maybe someone like Kopp. So I just found that to be a little strange. I know a lot of people online were bringing that up too, but we'll talk more about that down the road. In this game, the Red Wings lost 6-3. Everyone watched the game that's probably listening to this, right? So we're actually trying to cut down the time and how much we spend recapping these games. So just wanted to point out a few things, and Carlo can follow up with whatever he's got too. The first period, it looked really good. The game was tied 1-1. Overall, I thought Ville Husso looked good. And for him to be the starter in game one, it made sense based on his preseason performance, right? I don't think anyone really had any fleck about that. But looking back at this game, Carlo, it showcased to us why we all prematurely thought that Cam Talbot would end up becoming the number one goaltender on this Detroit Red Wings team. However, I will try to defend Husso as best as possible because I don't believe that some people might say the first goal was technically his fault, but I believe the first 3 goals really weren't anything on him. The defense collapsed ultimately in this whole entire game, minus the first period. The second period, they looked horrible. The third period, really not much better. And it definitely did not help that Jeff Petry ended up getting injured, an upper body injury in this game. Some people might take it as a, shucks. Oh, well, this only happens to let us bring up Albert Johansson. Well, yes, Albert Johansson did get to play the next game, but it also made us have to call up Justin Hall just so that way we could fit in a little bit more bodies onto the roster. So this game, Carlo, it gave me flashbacks to Red Wings of last year when they didn't have players like Dylan Larkin, Red Wings teams of 2 to 3 years ago where they just couldn't figure out how to play the system that they're supposed to, get the puck out of their zone, and just play good, decent defense. Carlo, go ahead and give your spiel on what you thought about game one overall.
So, I'll start by saying this. The bright side, there was 2 players who were plus players that game. Who were they? One might surprise you.
I'm just going to take a guess. I don't know off the top of my head. I would assume one being Moritz Seider, the other one probably Tyler Mott.
Okay. So both are incorrect. Let's call Seider a push because he was at 0. And Tyler Mott was also at 0. So not horrible guesses. Your 2 plus players were Michael Rasmussen with a +1 and Jonathan Berggren as a +1. That's the bright spot for me. Ras looks great. He's really, really doing a nice job fitting into the role that they're asking him to play in. And to see Yanni Burgers himself being a +1 player in a game like that was nice to see. But getting into the game itself, I mean, the second period is where we just crashed and we burned. We completely got away from our game plan defensively. And it costed us. And, I said it a couple weeks back, like Pittsburgh they're a pretty powerful team. Like they're deep. And Kevin Hayes scored. So, I was hoping they weren't that deep, but Kevin Hayes is making me say that they are, but whatever. I don't know. It was weird because, I thought they looked really good in the first. They really came out flying. They had jump. And I thought, oh, wow, this is going to be a good game. But then that second period, those first 6 minutes, they just came out on their heels, which is crazy to me considering you would think maybe the last 6 minutes of the period. Okay, maybe, but the first 6 minutes of the period, I'm like, I wasn't really expecting that. And it was a bummer. And as a result, it costed us. We were chasing them and they made us chase them very, very well. And we couldn't catch them. And at the end of the day, we lost 6-3 and it sucked. It was a terrible game one defensively. And I don't really have much more to say about that other than the bright spots that I already called out. It was nice to see Tarasenko get his first one, game one. That was awesome. That was a hell of a shot too.
Yeah.
So, there were some bright spots with like I said, with Burgers, with Senko getting on the board. But other than that, it was, it was not a good game to watch. It was actually quite frustrating. What's your takes, man? What'd you see?
Yeah. Outside of the first, I mean, even the first was somewhat frustrating. It definitely seemed like that they were not prepared for the Pittsburgh Penguins coming out so hot and ready, right? They played the night before, they lost. They basically got dummied out there. I can't remember who they played against, but yeah, you and we talking and having a group chat with Hockeytown West boys, even Travis said the same exact thing, right? That these guys, they're going to come out and try to outplay the Detroit Red Wings because they're going to be in a wild card situation more than likely, kind of how we are, right? I mean, that's an old team that really wants to hit the ground running much as we do, just as much as we do, right? So for me, just kind of staying on the defensive side, Moritz Seider got an assist, Eric Gustafsson got an assist. And I'm sticking with what the fan base is saying too. Gustafsson's defense definitely is not what we thought it is.
-2
was going to be. And he played 20 minutes.
No hits. He was the only defenseman with no hits.
Yeah, that's another thing too, which honestly surprises me, considering that Moritz Seider ended up getting 7 that whole entire game. So the defense obviously was not there from him. Jeff Petry only ended up playing 9.5 minutes that game. Like I said, he ended up getting injured at some point throughout the game with an upper body injury. So you're stuck with 5 defensemen at that point, where you got someone like Moritz Seider playing 26 minutes and 43 seconds, which is absolutely insane. And outside of Gustafsson, everyone else ended up playing under 20 minutes. Oli Mata, Ben Sherratt, Simon Edvinsson. And going over to Simon Edvinsson and Ben Sherratt, but not going into Ben Sherratt, they both were a -2. I thought Simon Edvinsson had a horrible game. I'm just going to call it out like it is, because there was one point where he was along the boards. I can't remember if it was the second or first period. He was along the boards, tried to chip it out. There was a Pittsburgh Penguin along the wall, and essentially just gave him the puck for free. It was a freebie. And I was like, Simon, like, what are you doing, my dude? And his defensive coverage wasn't there. There was at one point where him and Petry actually kind of like collided, but not really. It was where Jeff Petry got hurt, I think. Just kind of bumped into Simon, and a lot of people were getting on Jeff Petry about that. I actually thought that was Simon Edvinsson's fault. That should have been his guy that he needed to cover, who ended up scoring that goal. So his defense just wasn't there all game, right? And so just talking about the defense overall, no one really showed up outside of Moritz Seider, who had 7 block shots. He was a +/-0. The guy actually went out there and did his job. And to me, that was an eye-opener, and I think that was an eye-opener to the team, not because of what Moritz Seider did, but this whole entire defense needs to play defense and play the roles that they're supposed to. And a lot of us had questions. Is it the system or is it the guys? And a lot of people online are pointing the fingers at the guys on this team, Carlo. I know that you're, just kind of laying it out on the table. You're not the biggest alone truther. I'm slowly heading in that same direction as you are, obviously minus this last game that we just had against the Predators. But is it the guys or is it the system to you, Carlo?
That's a loaded question, man. And I'm not going to give Newsy slack on game 2. Like, you're silly to do that. And trust me, I'm the first one to call him out. Like, I don't care. I'm not going to do that during game 1, game 2. However, to answer your question, I think it's a little bit of both. Like, you have this core. You got these D-men. And I understand that you want them to play a system, but you have to kind of ask yourself, or maybe take a look at your system and say, is what I'm asking of these guys, AKA this system, are they capable of doing it? And if they are, okay, well, maybe they are. I mean, they had a great game last night defensively. We'll get into why I think they had a great game defensively. I don't think Seider, obviously, but I think there was a lot of great defensive play from our forwards too, but we'll get there. Can this group, answer the call of playing this system? I don't know yet. I mean, it's game 2. But if they don't you think you should maybe rework the system a little bit to be what these guys can handle and what they're capable of? That's why I say it's kind of a little bit of both. right? So to answer your question, I really don't know. I think we have to kind of get a bigger sample size, which is kind of tends to be the case in October. I think that at the end of the day, if these guys wanted to play the system, they will play the system. And I think there's a chance that they can, again, going back to yesterday, but we just got to see more games. We got to see more reps. And I'm sure along the way, things are going to get tweaked, like systematically, I would hope. As long as they don't progressively get worse, because I do recall last season that they got worse. Like they started hot and then they got worse towards like November. If we don't see that this year, then that's a really, really good sign. So time will tell, man. But what do you think? Like, do you think it's the guys? Do you think it's the system?
I'm kind of right there with you. I think it is a little bit of both. Deep down, I want to say it's mainly the players. I mean, outside of Simon Edvinsson, maybe outside of someone like Moritz Seider, obviously Gustafsson did not have a really great game. It's his first season, so he's trying to figure it out. Outside of that, it's game one, like you said, right? So we need a larger sample size to see what the clear indicator is. If there even is a clear indicator, it could be multiple indicators as to why this defense just doesn't work. And not just the defense, but on the forward end too. Why are their defensive skills not contributing to helping out the defense like they're supposed to, right? So it's a mix of everything. But I do want to touch on the forwards in this game against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Like you said, you brought up the Tarasenko goal. That was a freaking snipe on the power play. So that was a great goal by him. And we can definitely get used to that. We ended up tweeting that out. That is definitely something we can get used to. He had 4 shots on net, which is sick. Probably had more shots overall. Someone like Alex DeBrincat had 5 shots on net. He played 20 minutes. Dylan Larkin, 21 minutes. The one fleck that I have, or I guess maybe a couple, Vladimir Tarasenko got under 14 minutes of ice time. You look at someone like Johannsson Berggren, he got under 12 minutes of ice time. And I get it. He's on the 4th line.
Yeah.
Whatever, it is what it is. But this is someone that I've said time and time again that if you want him to flourish and bring a little more production to the table, you have to try and fit him in with more time, right? And I believe the Red Wings had 5 power play opportunities, and he's supposed to be on the PP2, and he still ended up getting really low time on the ice. It's just very confusing to me. And it kind of goes back to everything that I've said. And I think you guys agreed with me that when we did the whole roster, projection, season outlook, whatever we called it, that this could be a player that could easily be replaced by a young player that we have down in Grand Rapids Griffins, aka Marco Kasper. I feel like that there's more ability to create and implement more play on the ice. I don't even know if I'm saying this right at this point. It's Sunday Scaries to me, but I think you understand what I'm saying, Carlo. I hope that the watchers and listeners understand what I'm saying. I think Marco Kasper overall can just produce more than what Johannsson Berggren is. And like you said, it's just a small sample size. We're just getting over game 2 now, but kind of saw the same things in game 2, which actually is going to defeat my point that I'm going to say down the line here. But let's go ahead and jump into last night's game against the Nashville Predators, where the Red Wings did shut them out 3-0, like we've mentioned multiple times. Before this game, actually, the Red Wings did end up calling up Justin Hall. Carlo, your initial reaction, were you happy or unhappy with this?
I was neutral. Well, I was unhappy until I learned that Aljo was playing.
Yep.
When I found that out, then I was cool about it, because now what I liked about that, and I know on the surface it seemed like it was because of Petry's upper body injury, but when I saw the move get made, and then I saw the announcement that Aljo was playing and Gustafsson was scratched, I was really impressed, because that's instant accountability. You played like crap, you're taking a seat, and that's brilliant. Like, that's what needs to happen. There needs to be that immediate response when it comes to accountability. we cannot be okay with mediocre play. Not anymore. We've heard the word expectations so many times this offseason, and I'm glad that it's showing on the management side as well when it comes to sitting players who don't play well, plain and simple. So, I was a little neutral about, I was a little sour about Hall being called up. Then I was kind of like, let it phase off. Then I saw Aljo playing. Then I saw the lineup and I'm like, okay, we have I don't want to say a brand new decor, but we have a completely different looking decor now with these two players coming in. Let's see what happens. And boy, oh boy, we saw some pretty great things happen defensively last night.
Yeah, I really like how you put it. We basically saw a whole entire new defense, right? Just by inserting two players, it definitely did look like an entire completely different defense. I mean,
33% was different, man. Like it's a 33% new, like break it down however you want, but yeah, like that's what it was.
Yeah, and I and it's funny because I'm just gonna put this out there for everyone. So I edit these videos. Last episode, I actually didn't leave it in the video because I was like, no, I'm probably going to get slammed for this, but I actually made the call out that Justin Hall looked really good in preseason action, and he did. And actually, the deeper statistics of this game showcased him as a really good player against the Nashville Predators. If you guys go ahead and look at those, but yeah, just kind of going into this game, Johansson makes his NHL debut and his parents make it to the game. I think that's freaking fantastic that they were able to do all that maneuvering. I know one of his brothers made it. His other brother couldn't make it because of visa issues, but that was a long trip for them to make and on such a short notice too. So congratulations to him on his NHL debut. That's sick.
Played such a great game too, man. That was awesome.
Yeah, he did play a good game. It was minimal time, but he definitely played a really good game. Talbot made 41 saves for the shutout. That's the third Red Wings goalie to record a shutout in their first game with the team in the last 3 years, Carlo.
Yeah, that's crazy stat. I saw that. I was like, that is crazy. And all three of them are familiar names.
Yeah. Billy Husso did it in 22. James Reimer did it in 23 last season. And then this season, obviously, Cam Talbot. Sider was an absolute warrior with 8 hits, 7 blocks, 1 assist, 25-ish minutes of ice time. Like you said, these are just your notes, Carlo. Comfer was most noticeable forward, playing elite D in his own zone, and I will agree with you there. He was coming back. He was being feisty in the offensive zone.
He was the most dialed-in player last night. He really set the tone defensively. He was swatting pucks out of the air. They're doing east-west passes. He's swatting them out of the air like, I don't want to say it, but like Nicky Lidstrom. I was having a time watching him play defense in his own zone towards the top there. He was dialed, man. He was communicating. He was telling players where to be, where to go. He was dialed in, and it showed because he was super noticeable in his own zone. I just wanted to top up with that because it was just great to see that.
Yeah, and Comfer was the one who opened up the scoring with a beautiful tip from the point from Sider. And O'Reilly wishes the puck didn't hit his skate in the zone to keep it in their zone, or else they definitely wouldn't have been able to score that goal, right? But the Red Wings are doing a lot better job of keeping it in the opponent's zone. That is one thing that I'm noticing. And especially in this game, they really didn't get forced to stay in their own zone for too long until towards the tail end of the game where Nashville ended up pulling their goalie with like 4 minutes left. So the Red Wings were stuck playing defense the whole entire time. There's not much you can do.
No.
So, but yeah, good look on Comfer. I honestly thought that was going to be called back for a high stick, but he was able to keep it underneath the bar, which is awesome, and glad to see that he was actually so close enough to the bar that they could see it well enough to know that it was underneath. So good looks on him on that. Raymond was everywhere and had 2 or 3 solid good looks. I also want to throw out there, I think Tyler Mott looked fantastic. He had a couple opportunities. I know he only recorded 1 shot on that, but that fourth line, and this is where it kind of differentiates and go against what I just said earlier. But this fourth line to me, Carlo, I thought they looked dangerous with the minimal time that they had. I thought that they looked really good. Multiple opportunities, I believe total they had 7 shots on net, and overall this whole entire team, I believe they had very, very low shots on net as a whole. It was definitely under 30. I'm just going to try and pull it up here real quick. 22 shots on net, and they accounted for 7 of them. That's 1/3 of the shots on net just from your fourth line alone. And that kind of goes, and just to bring this up too, I brought up how I love seeing Tarasenko and Alex DeBrincat shooting a lot. They did the exact opposite this game. Tarasenko, he only played 11 and a half minutes. He had one shot on net. You got Alex DeBrincat with one shot on net. And I do want to call out Patrick Kane because he definitely has looked somewhat invisible. He's passing way too much, personally, in my opinion. There was one opportunity where he was trying to get set up from Dylan Larkin on a 1T clap bomb that was tipped by Steven Stamkos. So good defensive play by him. Honestly, this Nashville Predators team, I'll give credit where credit is due. They look dangerous this whole entire game, Carlo. And I said this to you before we started recording. I almost want to say I believe the Red Wings got super lucky in this game because I did watch the Nashville Predators play against the Dallas Stars. They looked really good, right? But you made it a point that these Red Wings, how many block shots did they have, Carlo? They were just overly dominant.
31. I want to say as a team, they blocked 31 shots.
That is absolutely
bonkers.
Insane. Yeah, that is absolutely.
And you're going to win games. You're going to win games like that. They only have 31 block shots times 82 games. I mean, I don't know how sustainable that is. But good Lord. Like, I think they frustrated Nashville. You know, they really, when you're blocking shots like that, and you got to call out Moritz Seider with that kick save and a beauty. Oh yeah. Man, that was unreal.
Yeah.
Like,
even
and that was right after a huge hit behind the net. Like the sequence was he hits someone hard behind the net. He rolls around to the front of the net and immediately makes that kick save. I'm like, he's just elevating his game to a whole nother level. And I am absolutely here for it because he looked dynamite last night. Dynamite. And so did Lucas Raymond, I want to say. +3.
But it goes back to your point. How sustainable is that? Because you look at everyone else, even on defense. I mean, everyone on defense really came out, right? But how sustainable is this? Olimata had 2 blocks. Justin Hall had 4 block shots. Ben Sherrod had 4. Johansson had 1. But like we said, he had minimal time. He was just under 12 minutes of play. Simon Edvinsson had 3, right? But then you also look at Moritz Seider, not just on the blocks, but the hits. We said that he had 8. Johansson had 2. Sherratt had 2. Olimata had 1, right? So this was a very aggressive game. And speaking and keep on talking about the defense, I noticed compared to the first game that they were jumping into plays a little bit more. There was a point where Seider was going in and trying to create. There was an opportunity where it was like a 3-on. It could have been a 3-on-3 or a 3-on-2. Seider was down the middle. You got the 2 forwards on the left and right side flanks there.
And I think he passed it out to Kane, and then he took off. And then I think Kane was that forward on the flank.
So I don't know if this was the same play development that we're talking about, but basically what I was trying to get at is that Moritz Seider is just so smart because I talked about how Larkin tried to set up a 1T for Kane. Well, where, Steven Stamkos was able to get the puck or get the stick on the puck a little bit so Kane couldn't get that shot off. Moritz Seider was smart enough to where that player that he was going up against, which was Carrier, I believe is who it was, Alexander, or I believe that's his name. Yep. He basically stopped him from utilizing his stick to disrupt the flow of the pass and everything. So overall, smart instincts by Moritz Seider to read the play and understand how the play is going to develop overall. I noticed Simon Edvinsson was jumping into plays as well. So that's what I want to see more out of, especially those two. I don't need it from anyone else. I don't need it from Sherratt. I don't need it from Mata. And I don't need it really so much from Albert Johansson. But we know that there's a little offensive ability from him. We would love to see that actually come out of him. But obviously, we got to get him acclimated. It's just his first NHL game. But yeah, I absolutely would love, and that might be what the system is when you have these opportunities, you have to push up and go and be involved in the offensive play. And talking about the time of play, Moritz Seider, almost 26 minutes once again. Ben Sherratt, 25 and a half minutes. Simon Edvinsson, just under 20 minutes. He is going to be, I'm going to guess throughout this whole entire season, he's going to be anywhere from a 19 and a half to a 22, 23 minute guy. As the season progresses, the time is going to progress as well. And I would assume the same for Albert Johansson. With this game, Carlo, did Albert Johansson insert himself fully into this Detroit Red Wings roster and defensive scheme that they have going on? And what's your takeaway from Justin Hall? Because I think Justin Hall looked really fucking fantastic, personally.
So Justin Hall, like, let's look at the very raw numbers on Justin Hall when it comes to his height and his weight. The guy's 6'4". No one's taken that away from him. He's 194 pounds. You also can't take that away from him either. He's a big dude. If you got a big dude playing simple D, that's all we want out of Justin Hall, man. That's all we want out of Justin Hall. 4 blocks. Justin Hall had a good game. Justin Hall played the role. He executed on the game plan. And if it's me, and I'm going to come right back into now Johansson here, both those guys should be playing on Monday. Don't change a thing. There's no reason to. Let's see if they can replicate it.
Yeah. Don't fix it if it's not broken,
no,
right?
Man, I don't think they're going to. I really don't. I'm not suggesting that they are, but I know Newsy's he's like that. Like, based off last season, like, if he's got a winning lineup who played a good game, he doesn't really mess with it. So I'm expecting to see Cam Talbot again. I'm expecting to see Hall again, and I'm expecting to see Johansson again. And I hope we do. I want to see them take another kick at the can against another really good team in the New York Rangers. I really want to see them get tested again, personally.
No, you make a really good point, and I 100% agree with you. And it's just like how I said, if it's not broken, don't fix it. Obviously, you had to make these changes because of not only what happened game 1, but because of the Jeff Petry injury. So yeah, just keep doing what you're doing. And if that's what Justin Hall is going to provide to you is decent defense with block shots, right? Then yeah, that's absolutely something you need out there. And that helps out players like Moritz Seider because he can't block every shot, right? Exactly. Granted, we would love to see him block 7 to 8 shots every single night, but we just absolutely can't. I don't want his Iron Man streak to run out either. So I said that to someone that no, who was it? It was my roommate JR. Hey JR, how you doing, bud? You're working right now.
Shout out to JR.
Shout out to JR. He was like, Moritz Seider hasn't missed a game yet. And I was like, nope, the Iron Man streak lives on, my brother. So yeah, the German engine never quits. But continuing on with this game, Comfort got the goal open for the Detroit Red Wings. Like you said, Carlo, Larkin looked really fast out there. There were a couple opportunities where he was about to beat the defense with 1-on-1 opportunities, 2-on-1 opportunities. Got knocked down a couple of times, but he looked really good out there. You said Simon Edmondson looked poised, had a really good rebound game. I agree with you on that. Aljo looks like he should play another 80 games. I completely agree with you, but I do think that there's going to be an opportunity where he's still the guy who swaps in and out with someone else just to help him out, right? But we'll see.
If he has a game where it's not good and he makes he played 11 minutes last night, and I noticed him a lot. I don't know if subconsciously I was paying attention to number 20. I don't know, but you don't really I noticed him a lot, and he was doing things really well. If he has a game where he's getting more ice time and he's making mistakes, okay, sure. Maybe he's not going to play another 80 games. I mean, I was being egregious, let's say, but point was he looked like he belongs to me until he doesn't, right? But one thing about Dylan Larkin, and I'm going to shout out my favorite movie of all time, Mystery Alaska. He looked like Stevie Weeks last night, just flying around the ice. He looked awesome last night. Those Jets were burning. It was great to see.
Yeah, overall, I agree with you 100%. I thought that he looked fantastic. He just played his game, right? Yep. He just played defense, and he did everything right. He looked good under pressure. If there ever was any pressure on him, right? He made the right moves. I don't think that there was ever one point in the game where I was like, oh boy, what are you doing, right? We've seen that from every other defender, right? But I didn't at one point see myself saying, Aljo, what are you doing out there, right? So he just played his game. And Hockeytown West boys, Nick, Brandon, and Travis, they would attest to that that's what he did down in Grand Rapids. There's a reason why Steve Yzerman really thought highly of this kid to where he could have played at 1.2 seasons ago, just never had the opportunity, or even last season. So we're finally starting the season, boys and girls. It is officially Albert Johansson season.
Booyah.
Let's go. Let's go. And with that, we did find out that Christian Fischer is out with an upper body injury. So with that being said, does that mean it's Watson or Casper's season? I believe so. I believe it's more than likely going to be Watson, and they'll more than likely just push Berggren up to fill that role for Christian Fischer and then Watson on the fourth line, because we talked about it in the preseason where Tyler Mott and Austin Watson, they got a little bit of connection there, and we like the feistiness that Austin Watson and Tyler Mott bring to the table too. So I would not be upset with that, but I understand why people would want someone like Marco Kasper. Go ahead, Carlo.
I want to do a little exercise with you, dude.
Sure.
So let's play a little game here. If Christian Fischer's out for a little while, you said to maybe bring up Berggren on that third line.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that because him, Joey, and Tyler are buzzing. They're buzzing. So hear me out. Watson could obviously slot right into Fischer's role, and that could be a wrecking ball of a line with Rasmussen and Kopp. And Watson could be. But let's also do a scenario where it's Kasper that comes up. Tyler Mott jumps up to Christian Fischer's spot with Kopp and Rass, shutdown line. And then you got Joey V, Kasper, and Berggren on the fourth line. Because I feel like Joey V complements Berggren's style of play with his speed. Joey V can skate. Not Stevie Weeks, but he can skate. Berggren needs some speed to get him the puck. And then you got Kasper, who's just going to run through a wall for anybody. Who's got speed, he's got some finesse. Honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing Kasper get the call up and Tyler Mott jumping up into Christian Fischer's spot while he's away. Just my 2 cents, whatever it's worth. Think about it.
Yeah, I'm trying to imagine it in my head. I mean, that all sounds good. Honestly, I'm not going to be upset with whatever decision that they go with, right? Because I think both would be serviceable call-ups, right? Obviously, for Marco Kasper's case, you want to give him the NHL exposure, right? You want him to get familiarity with not only the team, but just the NHL in general. I think the pace of play, and especially against an upcoming team that will be playing next, like you mentioned, the New York Rangers, that's a really good team in the Metro Division. So I think that would be a great opportunity to bring in someone like Marco Kasper to get that experience and understand what it's like to go up against a top team in the league. Yeah, he got to play against the Toronto Maple Leafs, but that was kind of cut short due to a broken kneecap. But then you look at someone like Austin Watson, though, that might be the guy that you want to go with. And I know, and I'll just say this, Marco Kasper got in his first pro fight last night, so he withheld his own. He looked really good, throwing in a couple punches. But you look at someone like the New York Rangers, they got Matt Rempe.
Yeah, that's a good call, man.
I don't know if you want Marco Kasper going up against Rempe or if you'd rather see Austin Watson go up against Rempe. And then also looking at it from, and you might not be, maybe Steve Yzerman might not be looking at it from this perspective, but I'll do it from my perspective, is that, you know, are you more willing to bring up Marco Kasper, who is the number one center down in Grand Rapids Griffins right now, right? Based on the lines that they set up. Are you willing to bring him up or bring up Austin Watson, who plays on the wing for Grand Rapids Griffins? It just really all depends, right? Who do you want more? Do you want Marco Kasper to have that exposure, or do you want Austin Watson to be out there just in case if one of the leaders of this team or the, you know, players like Alex DeBrincat, Lucas Raymond, just naming them off, Dylan Larkin, Patrick Kane, Tarasenko, Sider, do you want Austin Watson to go after those guys that try to go out there and destroy our favorite Red Wings players, right? So it's a pick and choose battle from there. But I do think Marco Kasper could hold his own in terms of where you place him. I'm okay with wherever you place him, to be honest. But personally, I do think it's going to be Austin Watson.
It makes more sense. It does make more sense for it to be Watson based off the matchup. But I like how you put it. I wouldn't be displeased with either option, obviously.
What does Newsy and Steve see in Petry and Gustafson? So you put this on here, Carlos. So elaborate that for me a little bit.
Justin Hall and Aljo, and it looked like a different decor last night. I think I used the word does, but maybe I should be using the word did until otherwise. What did Newsy and Steve see in Petry and Gustafson? Because they look terrible.
So I guess to answer that with Petry, I honestly couldn't tell you. Obviously, I mean everyone online, they're like, yeah, they signed Justin Hall and then weren't expecting Jeff Petry to fall in their laps. I mean, like, he technically didn't. The Red Wings didn't have to go out and get him when he was traded to Montreal and he requested to be traded after being traded from Pittsburgh. You didn't have to get him. You already had Justin Hall. So I think that might be one that Steve Yzerman looks back at and wishes maybe he didn't get a Jeff Petry. I mean, that's no disrespect to Jeff Petry, but
no, we're trying to win games. We have expectations now.
Right. And then you look at someone like Gustafson. I mean, the argument with that is that he's Shane Ghost Bear light.
No,
right?
No, please stop. With this whole Shane, like, that needs to stop. I can't believe we were told that.
I fully.
That, you know what that was? That was
trying to get out my words here.
Statement. That was a complete pacifying statement that holds zero value, in my opinion.
I personally believe the only reason that we went out and got Gustafson was because we needed another power play quarterback. I don't think Steve. Well, I think Steve looked at the defensive pairings or players that we have and said, I need to get another power play quarterback. Because you look at, okay, Seider can play power play quarterback. I would like to see Simon Edmondson take that. I said that in our group chat yesterday. Yeah. I think that he would be a prime candidate to be in that spot. He can pass the puck. He could thread the needle, right?
Yep.
He's got that long reach to keep the puck in the zone if it tries to get cleared out or just kind of trickles its way out along the boards. So you look at Mata, look at Ben Sherratt, which they did use Ben Sherratt as the PP2 quarterback. But we have our thoughts on PP2. PP2, honestly, looks like they're the PP1 from 4 years ago. Really not that great, to be honest with you. And I don't know exactly what it is, but you got Rasmussen, you got Tarasenko, you got Alex DeBrincat, Berggren, and then whoever the PP2 quarterback is, which is Sherratt, or it was Seider game one, which I disagree with. I don't think you should be putting Seider on PP2. That is your best defenseman.
No, he should be. I mean, he looked great on the power play, the first power play unit last night, Seider.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was taking the puck up the ice and everything, entering the zone. He was doing all the right things.
Yeah, he did look good. Yeah, I don't hate the second power play unit. They just need more of I think they're hoping Berggren is that finesse playmaker on that unit. I mean, DeBrincat had a really good game last night as well in terms of his tenacity on the puck and takeaways and steals and setting things up. He had a good game. So, I mean, he could also be that guy in the second power play unit. I think the second power play unit is a call to action. Guys, we need you to step up and take charge of this unit. And we haven't seen it yet. Thankfully, it's only been 2 games. Maybe we will see that. I think there's an opportunity where we do. We got some household names on that second power play unit. We can't dog it. Not yet, at least. But I think it's a call to action, and I think they could answer the call. I think there's good enough brand power on that unit where they could get it going. Not sold on Ben Sherratt being the quarterback, but that's really the only, I guess, downplay I'll throw in there is I don't see Benny Boy being the long-lasting quarterback of the second unit. So
no, and one critique that I guess I would make, or not even a critique, one adjustment that I would make, I would actually swap Tarasenko and Kane. I would put Tarasenko on the number 1 power play and put Kane on power play 2, because then if you have Kane, DeBrincat, Gustafson, all 3 of those with the Chicago Blackhawks connection, like they mentioned like 20 times during the preseason.
That's a great suggestion. That's a very good suggestion.
All 3 on the PP2. You got Rass in the net front, his fucking 6'5" self. Sorry for the language. But
it'd be great for Berggren too, man. That would be phenomenal for Berggren.
100%. Yeah. And that goes back to Berggren. I think we're doing him a disservice by not giving him ample opportunities to play with good players. I firmly believe that he is going to be an odd man out at some point throughout this season if he doesn't adjust, but he made me eat my words because, like I said, they're going to be dangerous this season. They might not put up the points that we expect them, but they overly dominated, to me personally, the Nashville Predators' fourth line that whole entire game.
Mhm.
We kind of went off on a rant. Well, not really a rant. We kind of just went all over the board. But talking about the other goal scorers of this game, Kopp was able to put in the second one with a redirect from a slap pass from Lucas Raymond. And then Dylan Larkin getting the empty net goal by stealing the puck from Nyquist in the neutral zone, which is freaking fantastic. So kind of going backwards, Carlo, that's pretty much the recap of both the games, but we're going to go back to game one where we noticed that only Ben Sherratt was wearing an A in that first game, which is super weird. I don't know why they would ever do that. Everyone else thought it was super weird, but then you made it a point that in game two, they gave the second A to Kopp.
I'm like 99% sure Kopp was wearing the A. Yeah, last night.
Regardless if he was or he wasn't, and let's just assume that he was, why wouldn't they just give it to him the first game? Can you try to explain the reason behind why they just wouldn't give someone else the A in game one and why the second game?
So either the heat press A doesn't stick to the Fanatics jersey and it fell off. I'm joking. I'm just being funny. No, I don't know. That might
be true. That might be true.
It could be. I don't know. I really don't know. It was a weird game. Like, it was just weird. I was because I saw like the walkout video that the Detroit Red Wings post, and I saw the A on Ben, and I watched it like 2 times. Like, there's nobody else wearing an A. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then everything started coming out, warm-ups, the laps, and nobody saw another A. I was like, this is really bizarre. Why they would do that, I have no idea. I have no idea. I've never seen that before. Then they give it to Kopp game 2, so that's what leads me to believe the A just fell off the jersey. But I have no explanation for that, dude. I really don't know. I know Newsy has said, like, you know, he feels that there's like 8 or 9 people in the locker room that could be wearing a letter.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was like hey, you're all assistant captains tonight, so we're not giving out a second A. I mean, I don't know, dude. Like, I have no clue why they wouldn't just give the A to somebody else. And then why game 2, it's just, there it is.
This probably resonates with fans more than it does to maybe me or maybe you, Carlo. But to me, it really doesn't matter who wears the second A. It's fine that Andrew Kopp wears it. But just to make the argument, I mean, you just signed 2 of your top young players to a 7 and 8 year deal in Lucas Raymond and Moritz Seider. And we just raved about how Moritz Seider and Lucas Raymond have looked so far this year. Both are on 2-game point streaks currently to start the season. I really don't have the same stats for Lucas Raymond, but thank you to Ice Hockey Gifts on Twitter for posting this. I'm taking this away from you, but I'm at least giving you credit. Moritz Seider, to start the 24-25 season, he's averaging 26-15 minutes on ice per game. He's got 15 hits total, which is number 1 in the league, 8 blocked shots, 2 assists, and a +2 rating. How does this not get you an A, and then including all of his previous seasons? So
Iron Man streak. You got to look at Seider single-handedly elevating this decor. Like, you look at the thumbnail, there's a stark contrast between game 1 and game 2. Okay, the difference was that game 1, the guys were waiting for the next guy to step up, whereas game 2, they were playing for the guys next to them. And Seider and Compher exhibited that the most last night. I am playing for you, therefore you got to play for me. That was Seider and Compher all night long. You know, in my opinion, after last night, I wouldn't be surprised to see Compher wearing an A eventually with Seider. Maybe they got a couple units or a couple groups of A's. Maybe it's Ben and Kopp at home. Maybe it's Seider and Compher on the road. I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised. What Seider's doing and those stats you just read off, to me, that guy's got to have a letter, man. Look what he's doing.
He's about to be the second defenseman in the last 2 years to put up 200 hits and 200 block shots in the same season. And it's just crazy that, you know, and I'm not going to sit here and say these stats alone should automatically give you an A or even the contract, but if one of the reasons is because Ben Sherratt already has an A, we can't have a second defenseman having an A. I think that's an excuse that you just throw out the freaking window at that point. But I can't see it being that. So really, I can't think of any excuses, if that's what you want to call them, why Moritz Seider should not have an A. This is his 4th NHL season.
I think we'll see him with an A this year, dude. I really do.
I'm just very surprised that it's not a stapled fixture on his jersey with that A. Maybe they tried putting it on, and like you said, it just didn't stand marker.
That would be so funny if that actually was the case.
And then they were like, "Oh, let's try it on Andrew Kopp's jersey." Well, it worked on this one, So
I'm actually starting to think it was that, man.
That's sick.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah, I don't know, man. It has nothing to do with the stats. To me, it's what player makes the players around them a better player.
Yeah,
that's who I'm giving a letter to.
The only other thing I can think of, and this is just me, and this is probably just me more than likely, is that you have Larkin wearing the C. Okay, does he man the top 6? Looking at it from that perspective, you give the second or the first A to Kopp. He's the number 3 C on this team technically. Does he manage the bottom 6? Then you look at Sherratt. Does he manage the whole interior defense? I don't know what it looks like and sounds like on the bench and the locker room, but that's just me spitballing at that point. And that would make the most sense to me. You're in charge of this group. You're in charge of this group. You get this whole entire group, right? And then the goalies obviously be the goalies. So that's the only thing that comes to my mind as to why it is the way that it is. But things can quickly change. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I don't think, again, for some reason, I just get the vibe that this team doesn't care about who's wearing a letter. Like they've said it so many times. Yeah. And I'm just kind of fanboying on Seider because of his play. I mean, I really think he deserves it. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But if anybody knows if the letter did indeed fall off on game 1, please let us know, because I'm dying to know this now. Like, it's so funny.
Instead of Jared Goff chants, which to me has been very old since last season, I don't like that Red Wings fans do that during a Red Wings game. I think the new chant should be more hits Seider because of how many hits that he makes in a game and how many block shots that he makes in a game. So can we start those chants officially?
I love
more hits Seider.
I love it. Yep,
sorry
I'm with
if that
you.
was super loud for everyone, but Carlo, I think we're good on the game recaps. And let's just kind of go ahead into the Red Wings news, and then we'll close off with around the league news. Really quickly, everyone who's probably watching and listening to this already knows this, that Austin Watson did sign a 1-year, 2-way deal with the Red Wings. He did have to go through waiver steal. The 2-way just means that he makes a different amount on his contract if he does get sent down. Wings also sent Hall down to the gulag, like Carlo predicted on our last episode. We actually recorded before all this played out. So good job doing that, dude. That was actually
that was
really
fun.
impressive.
That was fun. Kind of, I mean, kind of had to do it. They kind of had to do it.
Yeah.
No one's taking him.
And then he ended up getting called back up anyway.
Yeah.
Casper did not make the team on the last day of roster cuts. A lot of people were trying to say it's a paper move, which actually did not ever actually coming to fruition. Yeah, we were all hoping, but at that point, it just, to me, I was like, it can't be that deep, right? Like, it's not going to be that much of a mind game, right? It seemed like to me it was pretty cut and dry, but I was hoping to be wrong at that point. Yeah. Sounds like Detroit really wanted Michael Bragzeg-Nygaard in the AHL. MBN talks on Norwegian Hockey Pod TV2 Hockey Prat about what sounds like a fairly tense meeting with the Red Wings brass, where he and agents stood their ground on a return to the SHL. And then Sean Shapiro says this following Tuesday, he had a pretty interesting conversation with Jonathan Berggren about MBN and SHL versus AHL for development. And Berggren's view, SHL brings value as it puts players in an environment where winning is still important, where in his view, AHL team isn't, or team success isn't a priority. Are you shocked by this? Are you taking this like to heart?
No,
I guess.
No. Listen, if MBN was banging down the door and he lit it up and he'd be on the team. I'm not I have no concerns about this. Go play with ASP. I'd rather you just go do that. Go back home, essentially. Play in a league that you are comfortable in because you're home. Get the chemistry brewing with ASP. And then come on over, man. Come on back to Motown.
I kind of feel for Berggren on what he's saying, only because I do want to say this. I don't believe what he said is true. However, what he's saying is true because when he at one point in time, he was the only really good prospect on the Grand Rapids Griffins at one point in time, where he put up the most points in a Griffin season. I think it was in X amount of years or ever, like 2 or 3 seasons ago, before he fully started with the Detroit Red Wings. So I feel from him in that perspective. I don't know how he can say that about last season. It's very confusing to me, but I'm not taking this to heart. Obviously, there's a lot of opportunity there for MBN, it sounds like, or else he probably wouldn't have gone back, right? So he probably talked to Skellefteå's team, their coaches, their staff, and seeing like, what is the opportunity for me there versus here, right? I don't know where they were going to put Michael Brandsegg-Nygaard in the AHL. Was he going to be top 6? Was he going to be middle 6? Was he going to be bottom 6, right?
Yeah.
Would he ever have gotten a call up to Detroit? Because it did sound like that they loved his shot. They thought his shot was NHL ready. And there's a reason why they wanted him to play in North America, was to make small tweaks and changes to his game to get more implemented to North American style ice of hockey, right? And so maybe they were offering him just as much, if not more, over there in Skellefteå. And for him, like you said, Carlo, go play with ASP, go over there, go win a championship like they did last season in Skellefteå. So there's a lot of opportunity for him there. Unfortunately for us, we just don't get to see him play in North America. But Carlo, is there an opportunity, do you believe, if he has a really good SHL season, can he make that jump directly to the Detroit Red Wings next season if he just works on things that they told him that he may have to work on?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think he's got a chance to do that. I mean, he's already got a bit of an advantage considering his shot and some of the other things that he's, kind of checking the boxes for when it comes to NHL ready, so to speak. You come over next season, you come to camp, if you're banging it down, it's going to make it very interesting. And I mean, it sounds like there was honestly the opportunity for that this year, and then camp kind of happened and they didn't, maybe not enough boxes got checked. But I think if he goes there, continues to work on what he needs to work on, I think it's a win for us because he's gaining the chemistry with ASP. So obviously I'm expecting ASP to be at camp next year as well. MBN's coming with. Maybe those two have a phenomenal camp. Maybe they put Team White or Team Red on their backs and we have a really good game. Granted that there is a Traverse City Prospects camp and just overall camp next year, because I think they're still figuring that out. But again, I'm not too concerned about it. Go do you, man. Do what you got to do. When you're ready, we're ready. And let's have some fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Bring back another championship, please. That would be awesome to see ASP get his second and then MBN getting his first. So that would be really cool to see. Last for Red Wings news, Pavel Datsyuk to be introduced into the Hockey Hall of Fame class of 2024, November 11th.
Fucking love that.
A magic man. Yeah. Love him for his hockey skill, the things that he did for the Detroit Red Wings. But this is huge, right, for any player to be inducted. So enjoy it while you can. So congratulations once again to Pavel Datsyuk on his being inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame, which will be November 11th once again. All right, around the league news really quickly. The Sens saw what Jeremy Swayman got, and they're like, "Oh, Mark, you want that? We'll give it to you for 4 last year's 4 by $8.25 million." Shot the bet a little bit for him last night, but
I didn't start him.
So
started Gorgiev, and he shot the bet even worse. So
I don't like the cap hit. I like the term. I don't like the cap hit at all. And how much was Ullmark's numbers contributed by Boston's defense, right? And that was the same question going towards Jeremy Swayman neither of these goaltenders have had really good playoff performances in the past, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how it all works out. But overall, you like the contract?
I do. I think the goalie market's going to go up substantially. Right. I think obviously with cap going up substantially, everything goes up substantially. When you have a number one goaltender, that's going to eat up a big percentage of the cap. So I think we got to stop looking at the dollar figure and we need to start looking at the percentage because that's what they're looking at. So naturally, when your overall team cap goes up to a specific number, you calculate a quick percentage. Yeah, it might be a scary looking number, but it's not offside. It's the same percentage as it was the whole time. It's just now we have greater values to deal with. Therefore, percentages are going to, create bigger numbers. That's what it is. And I think that's just what we're entering. And good. These guys should get paid. Big believer in that.
Yeah. For the first time since the 2010-2011 season, every single NHL team has a captain now. I can't believe it took that long. We've added, We've added 2 new teams, removed 1, put it in a different place. So 3 new teams since then, I believe. Right? Yeah. 3 new teams since then, technically. It took 14, 15 seasons, Carlo.
That's crazy. That is absolutely.
We made it, though.
We're here. We are here.
And then Colorado Avalanche's prospect Ivan makes NHL debut. Is that the coolest name in the league, Carlo?
100%. Ivan squared.
I
would literally make his back plate Ivan with a 2.
Dude, yeah. I would do that too. I think that's by far probably the coolest name. Last but not least, the man himself with the last goal at Joe Louis Arena, Riley Sheahan, retires. I believe it's just hockey in general, not just the NHL, but hockey in general, right, Carlo? So
yeah, I don't even think he was playing in the NHL the last little while. I believe he was in, I don't remember the league, but I believe he was overseas for 2 seasons. Sorry, 1 season. It looks like the Swiss league. 12 games, 3 goals, 4 assists, 7 points, +5. That was in 22-23, and it looks like, it doesn't look like he's doing anything in since then. So 23-24, there's no stat. And then 24-25 season, he calls it, he hangs it up. We'll always remember Riley Sheahan for scoring that last goal at JLA. I'll never forget that. He didn't do much that season, but he did score the last goal at the JLA, and that was awesome.
He went 81 games without scoring a goal. For those that don't remember or are newer to the Red Wings fandom, Riley Sheahan went 81 games out of an 82-game season without scoring a single goal. In the last game at Joe Louis Arena before the Red Wings started playing at Little Caesars Arena, he put up 2 goals.
2 goals. No. Yeah, he did 2 that. Yeah. Yeah, he was a whopping -29 that season. But nonetheless, congrats on your retirement, buddy. Hopefully you're having a good time. Hopefully you're still playing some hockey and doing what you do.
Yeah, congratulations once again to Riley Sheahan on the retirement. Hope all is well.
Yes, sir.
I think that's it. I think we can wrap it up and go into our final thoughts. Unless you got anything else to say, you can say them in your final thoughts if you want.
Well, I was thinking about doing a quick little fantasy hockey corner, just a piece of advice for you guys, because it's worked out very well for me. If you're still here and you have made it, if you can, go get him. Dylan Guenther. Go pick that kid up in Utah. Utah looks like an absolute time. They're having, what do they got? They got 16 goals in 3 games as a team. They're on a 3-game winning streak. Guenther himself has 5 out of those 16 goals. Clayton Keller looks like Clayton Keller. He's having a time as well. But this week, Dylan Guenther is my fantasy hockey waiver wire pickup of the week. So you heard it here first, maybe. Go pick him up if you haven't already, or if he's still available on your wire. Great addition to any team.
Let's go ahead and jump in the final thoughts. I got nothing else left, so you can start it off, buddy. Go ahead.
Final thoughts, stark contrast. You saw it in the thumbnail. You're going to hear it again right now as we wrap things up. Stark contrast between game 1, game 2. Really excited for game 3. What are we coming out? Are we coming out as the game 1 team, or are we coming out as the game 2 team? Obviously, we hope for the game 2 team, which will bode well for us. It'll be a hell of a test against those New York Rangers, who are one of the best teams in the NHL. Say that confidently. But let's see what happens. Let's see if they're prepared properly, if they're game planned properly. I think we can hang. I really do think we can hang. We obviously showed that last night. When we're executing on the game plan defensively, we can hang with the best of them, guys. So let's see what happens. Let's go Red Wings. Let's go Lions. And those are my final thoughts, man. What do you got?
Yeah, my final thoughts are, I'm very interested to see if the Detroit Red Wings come out against the New York Rangers. I believe they play Tuesday. Is their next game?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. We're recording it as currently 12:04 p.m. Sunday, 10:13. So, let's see how they stack up against the New York Rangers team, who's more than likely going to be at the top of their division, whether if that's the 1 or 2nd spot, right? Are we going to come out as the game 1 team or the game 2 team? I'm very interested to see if Lalone keeps the same lines as he did. We know that he actually moved Raymond down and put Kane on the top spot on the first line, right? I'm not sure if that actually stood out throughout the whole entire game, but that was a pretty good call to make. I like the insertion of both Hall and Johansson. Like I said, if it's not broke, don't try to fix what's not broke, right? You fixed what was broke the first time after game 1, so just keep it for game 3, and let's see how they go out from there. And wait and see if they call up Watson or Casper. I would be more than happy with either or, and they might do it right after we record this. So
they probably will.
So we'll just wait and see there. But other than that, let's go Red Wings. Let's go Lions, Tigers. Congratulations on a phenomenal season.
Great
you
run.
guys were
great run.
The only time I watched them was actually during the postseason. So I might actually have to start watching the games this upcoming next season, next year. But let's go Red Wings. Let's go Lions. Let's go Tigers. No Bears. Pistons. I'm assuming they're starting up here pretty soon. Hopefully they can actually win more than 25 or 30 games.
They've already been eliminated from the playoff. I'm just joking.
No, my God.
I'm just joking.
Those are my final thoughts. I think we can wrap it up, Carlo. Once again, thank you for stopping by. If you are returning, if you are new, thanks for stopping by on this brand new episode. If you have not already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up button. That's free. If you're on Spotify or Apple, rate us 5 stars. Follow us. Those are free as well. Let's get this video over 30 likes. You guys are doing a fantastic job getting it over the 25. So let's up it up, get it to 30, and we'll see y'all on the next one. See ya.
Later.